you ever walked into a room and immediately sensed something was off? Not because of what people said, but because of what they didn't say. The smile that doesn't reach the eyes. The laugh that arrives a second too late. The compliment that somehow feels like a knife. This is how to see what others can't. Watch for what they deny. The law of contradiction. Nietzsche understood something most people miss. The things people deny most aggressively are often the things they are.
But this acquisition
When someone repeatedly insists they're not jealous, not insecure, not bothered, pay attention. The vehemence of the denial reveals the wound. People who are genuinely unbothered don't need to announce it. They simply move on.
Honestly, this is the happiest I've been in a long time.
So here's the first technique.
Just being here.
Listen for the unsolicited denials. The person who constantly mentions how happy they are in their relationship. There's trouble underneath. The one who keeps emphasizing how honest they are. They're managing a reputation for a reason. The colleague who insists they don't care about status. Watch how quickly they react when someone else gets promoted. Nietzsche called this the will to deception, the human need to construct a flattering self-image and defend it against all evidence. But the defense itself becomes the tell. The mask always cracks where it's held too tightly. The resentment detector. Look deeper still. Nietzsche was obsessed with what he called ressentiment, a deep, hidden resentment that people bury because they're too weak to confront it directly. And this resentment leaks out in predictable ways. Watch how someone talks about others' success. Do they celebrate it genuinely, or does something sour creep into their tone? Do they immediately point out flaws, question motives, or diminish the achievement? That's ressentiment speaking. It's the voice of someone who feels powerless, who can't create what they admire, so they tear it down instead. And once this pattern is recognized, that person becomes completely transparent. Every criticism they make, every judgment they pass, it's all just their own inadequacy reflected back. But here's where it gets useful. People who carry ressentiment are predictable. They'll undermine quietly. They'll smile while sabotaging. They'll offer help that somehow makes things worse. Knowing this in advance is power. But recognizing hidden resentment is only the beginning. Nietzsche went further, developing techniques to see the deeper architecture of someone's psychology, their values, their fears, and most importantly, their true motivations. Because what people want and what they say they want are almost never the same thing. Understanding this gap is the key to reading anyone instantly. And it starts with a simple question that most people never think to ask.
I saw the way he looked at you tonight.
Discover what they worship. The revealed values. Nietzsche taught that everyone worships something, whether they admit it or not. And what someone worships tells everything about who they are. But people don't announce their gods. They disguise them. So the technique is this. Don't listen to what people claim to value. Watch what they sacrifice for. The person who says family comes first but works 80-hour weeks. They worship achievement, not family. The one who preaches authenticity but obsesses over their image. They worship approval, not truth. Words are cheap. Actions reveal worship. Pay attention to where someone spends their time, their money, their mental energy. That's their altar. That's what they've decided deserves devotion. And once this is identified, their behavior becomes predictable, because people will betray almost anything to serve what they truly worship. The power diagnosis. Now go deeper. Nietzsche believed that beneath all human behavior is the will to power, the fundamental drive to assert oneself, to feel significant, to matter. But this drive manifests differently in different people, and reading these manifestations is how someone becomes truly visible. Some people seek power through domination. They need to control, to win, to be on top. They interrupt conversations. They turn everything into competition. They can't celebrate others without finding a way to recenter themselves. Others seek power through victimhood. They've learned that suffering gives them leverage. Watch how quickly they bring up their struggles, their disadvantages, their wounds. It's not vulnerability, it's strategy. They've discovered that being the victim makes them untouchable. Still others seek power through moral superiority. They position themselves as more enlightened, more ethical, more aware. They don't argue with logic. They claim the moral high ground and shame anyone who disagrees. Identify which strategy someone uses, and suddenly their patterns become obvious. The dominator will always escalate. The victim will always find a reason they can't succeed. The moralist will always judge. This isn't cynicism. This is clarity. Read their suffering. The pain principle. Here's Nietzsche's most powerful insight. Everyone is in pain, always. The human condition guarantees it. But people hide their suffering behind elaborate performances, and those performances are what make them readable. So look for the cover-up. What is someone trying to prove? That question reveals what they doubt about themselves. The person constantly displaying their success. They don't believe they're successful. The one who needs everyone to see how busy they are. They're afraid of being seen as worthless. The one who name drops endlessly. They think they're nobody on their own. The performance is always opposite to the wound. Loud confidence masks deep insecurity. Excessive generosity hides a fear of being unlovable. Aggressive independence covers a terror of abandonment. Nietzsche understood that people become what they're trying to escape. The more someone runs from a fear, the more it defines them. And this creates a pattern anyone can learn to see. The final technique. Watch what makes someone defensive. That's where the truth lives. Ask simple questions. Make neutral observations. Then wait. The person who's hiding something will react disproportionately. They'll get angry over nothing. They'll pivot to attack. They'll construct elaborate explanations for simple things. That reaction is the answer. The truth is buried in whatever they're defending too intensely. Nietzsche wrote, "One's own self is well hidden from one's own self. Of all mines of treasure, one's own is the last to be dug up." People don't know themselves, but their defenses give them away. Reading people isn't about judgment, it's about clarity. It's about seeing through the performance to the psychology underneath. And once that sight is developed, the world transforms. Conversations become transparent. Manipulations become obvious. Hidden agendas reveal themselves before a word is spoken. Nietzsche didn't teach this for cruelty. He taught it for freedom. Freedom from being deceived, controlled, or manipulated by people who don't even understand their own motivations. The mask everyone wears isn't there to deceive others. It's there to deceive themselves. But someone who knows where to look can see through any mask. Watch for the denials, identify the worship, diagnose the power strategy, read the suffering, notice the defenses. Do this, and people become books written in a language only a few can read. And those who can read it, they're never blindsided, never confused, never fooled. Nietzsche gave the map to reading people with ruthless accuracy. Now it's just a matter of learning to navigate. Subscribe to master the psychology of human nature